Hey guys, how you going? Today I'm going to be doing a step-by-step walkthrough of how you can render your architectural section from CAD to Photoshop. Now at the beginning of this, your render should look like this, and our goal is to keep it simple, communicate your ideas, and turn your render into something like this with a zoomed in call out. So with that in mind, let's get into it. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to import your Photoshop file, or your CAD file, sorry, into Photoshop. This will be kind of messy depending on how you set up your CAD file. But after you've done that, you want to just use the lasso tool and you want to go through and fix any edges, cover any fills using a different layer, of course. So after you've done all this, you'll have a clean section with lots of white space ready to fill in the materials. Now the next stage is materials. I would recommend not going overboard with this, but adding them in, maybe choosing 2 or 3 is the best idea. Now in this stage you want to open your materials that you've gathered, and you want to open them up, select them, go image, and then define brush preset, and that will define your material as a brush. I do this for all my materials, so go through each one. You can find these on Google, or you can go to a website like SketchUp Textures. You can find them mostly everywhere. After you've done that, you want to go to your original layer. You want to select where you want to put the materials, and you want to create a new layer on top of the original one that you imported. And I just use a black or a white fill to fill in these spaces, and then after that I double click on the layer and I do a pattern overlay, which then puts that material that you chose as over the black pattern. Now after you've done this, you can adjust the opacity, you can adjust the scale of the material, you can do heaps of stuff with it, which is why I like using the pattern overlay rather than just importing the materials in and cutting them out, because it allows you to adjust them at the end. If you feel some are too dark or some are too heavy, you can go back and you can adjust them at their final stages of your presentation. After you've got your materials in, you can go ahead and you can grab some people, you can grab some trees. This allows your design to kind of engage with the architectural scales, and you can let the people show the scale of your building rather than dimensioning spots. Obviously trees are important to show where you're putting green spaces. So right here I've just got some people from Pinterest. You can look up human architectural scale people. I put the layer in, I turn it to a darker color so you can see the background in layer styles, and I'll just make them the scale that you want to see the people walking around. This takes a little bit of adjusting, a little bit of working with. I like to choose the people that are fitting the activity that I want the concept to show. So in this case it is a train station, so I want families and I want children walking around on my thing. So I would just go through, put them in, right click on where I select the people, right click and do a layer via copy, and then go through and manually put the people in. Now for this next part, I would do the exact same thing that I did with the people that I did with the trees. So I've just imported some trees from Pinterest or from Google, which I think fit the style of the watercolor section. And I'll just do a layer via copy and move them around behind the original section layer, so they're sitting behind the black fills, and just choosing different trees for different spots where you would want to show the trees to sit. The next step is adding backgrounds and masking layers. So I'm going to show you how to create that watercolor effect for the sky and the ground on your section. So you want to just go through and use the lasso tool again and make sure you create a new layer behind the section that you imported and behind all the materials, and just select where you want the ground to sit. In this case, I didn't want to make it too much far below, but I chose a brownish color, and I just filled in the ground using that brownish color using the paint bucket tool. And then I went ahead and I did the same for the sky, so I just created a new layer. I called it sky layer, used the lasso tool and selected where I want the sky to be. You want to make this kind of big, because when you're doing the masking you want to allow for space to show that watercolor effect come through. After you've got your sky on your background, you can go down to the bottom right and click the masking tool. This allows you to edit just that layer. As you can see, I'm just using a black paintbrush, which then masks that above the sky layer that I've got. So I've got some Photoshop watercolor brushes that I've downloaded. I'll leave a link in the description for these. You can just download them and they're quite handy. You can reduce the opacity of these and add some very cool effects. So I'm just going to go through and reduce the opacity of my brushes and just kind of like paint over some different shapes and different areas where I think it would be cool to fade out the sky. Now after you've done this for the sky and the ground, you can go ahead and add some final touch-ups to this. I like to add some watercolor touch-ups to the trees and the green areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer behind where I put the tree cutouts. Name it, green paint or something. And using those same watercolor brushes, you want to go through and just create some different watercolor patterns behind the trees and give it sort of a bit of character instead of just being a cutout of a green tree sitting there. Now after you're happy with how your section is looking and you feel like you've touched it up and you're happy, you can go ahead and you can export as a PNG, or you can save as and merge all the layers together. The point of this is to combine them all and then re-import so you can add in your zoom section. I'll show you how to do that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a circle using the shape tool. I like to make it a dash circle. You can edit the settings up the top. And this is just going to sit above our section and act as a call out. After you've done this, you can import that saved PNG or the merged layers duplicated. Either works, doesn't matter how you do it, but the idea is to maybe add some more detail to this call out section. In this circumstance, I didn't, but if you're doing a presentation or you're showing this on a poster, you do want to include some more details to the call out section, because that's the whole point of it, to show a close-up, higher scale of your architecture. One important thing to note that I did here is when I created the circle, I created a fill around the circle of a white fill, and then I put the image behind that white fill. So I can just move that circle around now and just have that image sitting in the background of that. As you can see, it's easy to adjust, and you're not actually adjusting any layers when you're doing this. Now the next step, I just wanted to add some lines, so I'll just use the pen tool, and I'll just choose the points of the corner so it gives that call out sort of look going there. Now the last thing that you want to do here is, after you're happy with everything, you've added all your touch-ups, you can go over and you can do some annotations. This is really personal preference as to how you want to do this, but you do want to create a new layer and maybe just use the line tool and use the pen tool, some circles, and just put some text in of what spaces are being used for what. I'm going to speed this up. I'll show you how I did it. If you would like a further in-depth video on how to do annotations, let me know in the comments. That would be great. But yeah. And last but not least, we have the final touch-ups or adjustment layers that I would call them. You want to go through and you want to add some adjustment layers, just tweak it a little bit, because sometimes you don't know what your project could look like if you don't add these in. It's not saying you have to keep them, but have a little play around with the saturation and curves, and you might find something a little bit better. So you just want to create a new layer, or you can just go to adjustments at the top, and I chose curves because I like to play around with how it could look if I'm reducing the top or reducing the bottom. I don't think I ended up going with anything for this project because I thought that this looked fairly okay how I did it, but you might find something different for your color palette. It really depends on personal preference. And there we have it, guys. We have a section rendered in Photoshop, fully with the zoom out. If you enjoyed this tutorial, feel free to give me a like, comment, and of course subscribe. If you have any tips or recommendations, please let me know, because I would love to hear them. This is a bit of a new editing style for me. I've got an upgraded setup now, so I might try and pump out some more videos and some tutorials, but of course I'd love to hear back from your feedback of what you think was best and what you think I could improve on. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.